I started realizing that I was offering something that was supportive to other people and they could understand. And then I started getting messages like, I read something you wrote 8 months ago and I haven't had a drink for 6 months. And I just want to thank you for XYZ. It was like take the breath out of you. There is nothing like that. And so I couldn't not continue it. It just felt like almost like it was like an invitation, like a duty.
Hi, I'm Bethany Saltman, a literary agent and award-winning author.
And I'm Fran Hauser, a best-selling author and independent bookstore owner.
And this is the Bookbound podcast.
On this podcast, we talk to women writers about their nonfiction books.
But instead of talking about what their book is about, we focus on the process of getting their book into the world.
These How I Did It conversations will help you pitch your big idea,
write killer proposals,
find the right agent and publisher,
and live an amazing bookbound life. Welcome to the show, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce you to our guest, Cecily Mak. Cecily Mak is an attorney, founder, and mother devoted to helping people live dimmer-free with clarity, courage, and the freedom to change without stigma or shame. She's also the co-founder of Wisdom Ventures, a bold fund investing in a future of deeper human connection and well-being. Her debut book is Undimmed, the 8 Awarenesses for Freedom from Unwanted Habits. We love this conversation with Cecily. She shared how she wrote an entire memoir before pivoting to the book she ultimately published and walked us through why she made that shift. We also talked about how she found her agent, her writing process, and the role that rituals play in her creative life. We so enjoyed this conversation, and we know you will too. Hey, Cecily, welcome to Bookbound.
Awesome. Thank you. It's so good to be here.
Yay! We are so excited to talk to you about your book, Undimmed. So we like to begin every episode asking this question. You have done so many things in your life, and you can tell us a little bit about all the various roles that you've played. And I know that this was a very personal book. And so when did you know that you actually had a book in your mind and not just an idea or a Substack or a platform or a concept, but an actual book?
It's a great question. It was not a linear journey, as I imagine is the case for many of your authors. And I actually never wanted to be an author when I grew up. I had no aspirations of writing a book or putting my personal experience out there in the world as this book does and some of my other writing that's already published. When I first realized there was a book here was actually all the way back in 2018 when I was navigating my first entire year alcohol-free and realizing how unsupported I felt by what was out there already. I found some wonderful humans and communities in Instagram and some blogs and other support online, but every book I could find in what I refer to as the quit lit category really started with people having a rock bottom life crisis moment and then the often beautiful and heart-wrenching journey of digging themselves out of that experience and into a new life. I didn't have that experience myself. And so as I sought support or people with whom I could relate on my own journey, I really struggled. And it was very frustrating. When I told people what I was going through, the common question I heard was, "Oh, I didn't realize you had a problem." There was this assumption that I was an addict, I was in recovery, I was going through AA, whatever it was. We can talk more about that specific in a moment. I realized that maybe I was having an experience that would help others. And so the book actually started as what I intended to be a memoir. I just wanted to tell the entire story of how I navigated what I was navigating. And it was over the last, 6 years or so that it evolved into the book Undimmed.
That's beautiful. And I love 6 years. Yeah. And it's really important for our listeners to hear that, because they're going to see this beautiful book. And they're going to think, of course, because it's so well crafted, oh, this just sort of like happened this way.
No, Before this book, as part of this book writing process, I wrote a 300 plus page memoir with an editor over 4 years, actually with 2 editors.
Love it.
And thousands of hours of time and countless 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. writing sessions before my kids woke up. And, gut-wrenching edits over really gory details of my whole life journey that led to this current experience. And that book will probably never see the light of day. But the process of writing it and what I learned along the way is what helped shape and define the 8 awarenesses, which is the offering and the invitation of Undimmed.
Amazing.
So Cecily, when did you pivot? When did you go from the memoir to this kind of more I would say big think and prescriptive?
Yeah, no, great question. I'll tell this in a bit of detail, if that's all right.
Yeah, please.
I had largely finished the memoir by the end of 2022, and I was ready to start shopping it. I was starting to get introductions to agents. My editor and I felt really good about it. I felt pretty good about it after all those years of working on it. It really had been 4 years. And I left my last tech exec role in December of 2022. One of the primary reasons being so that I could focus on launching this book into the world, finding a publisher and so on. And 6 days after I sent my last email as the COO of this $3 billion tech company I helped to build practically from scratch, I had a breast cancer diagnosis. And I ended up spending the first 6 months of 2023 treating breast cancer, not hobnobbing with agents and publishers trying to get my memoir published. And it was a very important time because it served to, obviously, I had to kind of focus on my health and well-being and a lot of inquiry around how I ended up with breast cancer. I didn't have this in my family. What was the message? What was the signal, reason, learning, lesson, whatever it might be. But it also gave me time to really more deeply reflect on what I wanted the book to offer to people and whether or not just telling my story was of service. I knew it would be to some because it had already helped some people, but I had time to inquire about that. And at the same time, now that I'd finished that book, I started working on what I imagined would be the second book, which was the 8 awarenesses. And I actually did a workshop in January of that year in between surgery and radiation and kind of started building out that framework based on the learnings from the memoir and started writing more about it also that year. And by the time it came to the end of 23, I had this book that was, now I had the energy and the clarity to shop the book, but I also had an outline for the 8 awarenesses. And when I approached the 5 or so agents I approached, 2 just outright said, not really interested. 2 said, I'd love to shop this for you. And 1 said, this is interesting, but nobody actually really knows you or cares who you are. And memoir is often anchored in recognition of the author or some relatable or recognizable public story. So this is going to be a tough road. But what you have here with 8 awarenesses is fascinating. This is useful. And the way that you have framed out the outline for the second book, leveraging a lot of the stories and learnings from the memoir, is something I'd love to shop. And so that's how we pivoted. And it was in early 2024 that Jackie, who and I really pulled out our sharpened pencils and converted my several page outline into the broader proposal, using a lot of the pieces I'd put together, frankly, for the memoir, but really built around a much more useful invitation. So that's how that happened. Yeah.
So Cecily, I have to tell you, so obviously, Jackie is also my agent.
Amazing.
And when we were working, Jackie and I were working on the proposal for the book that I'm writing right now, she brought you up to me and she brought this idea of Undimmed many times. I could just tell she was so excited to be working with you on this and to be getting this out into the world. And we can have a total love fest on Jackie because Jackie Ashton is amazing. And she really gets, and I'd love to hear more about the process of working with her, because what I found was she was in there with me. Like that proposal, I mean, it took us a year to finish the proposal. And
Yeah.
she just kept challenging me, and she, like, nope, that's it's good, but like, we need to push, we need to go further. How is this really going to stand out? And I loved the process of working with her so much. And I would love for you to share what that was like for you.
Oh, certainly. I mean, Jackie, when I first connected and met with her, I kind of knew, like, it was one of those really strong, intuitive gut feelings. I can work well with this person. We're both a little bit intense and hyper direct, and I really need and want that in the people with whom I partner, particularly on difficult projects. And so, she expressed interest in wanting to explore when she reviewed what I had. We had a really powerful first call. I think it went, if I'm remembering correctly, at least an hour. And I could feel her genuine fascination, interest, curiosity, and capacity for the project. And she got it. She grokked it. Most people can connect with one or more pieces of the Undimmed 8 Awarenesses approach. She really did, both personally and also as an agent. And I really appreciated that from the start. And she did, she did a wonderful process with me in which she gave me the tools that I needed to do my part well. So she sent me a couple books on how to meet the audience I was seeking to meet. She sent me sample proposals of books that she had successfully sold. She asked me really important questions that I needed to ask myself about the underlying motivations and audiences I was seeking to reach with this work. And so she really, more than anything else, kind of empowered and equipped me to feel like I could put my best foot forward with this offering. And the proposal was really just the first step. In our case, I think we met in around, we met in Q4 of 23, and we shopped it and sold it at auction in April of 24. So it was more like a 7-8 month process with her, with some big gaps. We kind of took like a month or two here and there in the middle to do our own work and regroup. And I was also still dealing with the aftermath of my healing process. But, that was really, again, just the beginning. I had this expectation that my agent would help me sell the book and kind of be the business person. Absolutely not. Jackie is my wing woman on everything. I mean, even today, she's helping me navigate a particular blurb detail with an author I've asked to blurb my book in close collaboration with my publisher and me. Like, she's all in. She's part of the team. She's on every exchange with everybody involved in this project. And, most of the time kind of quiet in the background, but I'm very aware that she's tracking. And when I need to reach her about something or get her expertise, she's right there and so valuable and wonderful. She's also done things like anticipated my lack of understanding of how the marketing and publicity piece goes. Mm-hmm. And a month ago, we're talking 8 months before pub date or 7 months before pub date, she invited me to a Zoom to just walk me through the process. Like, so this is what's going to happen. These are the 3 things you can do now. Here's some examples. Here's some ideas. And it has just made the whole journey so much more complete and enjoyable for somebody like me as a first-time author in this arena.
Finding the right agent.
Yeah. It's so important.
Yeah, it's so important. People don't know what agents do.
No.
And so it's really important to tell people, like, if you meet the right person, they will help you with the whole thing, the whole time. It's like your bookish best friend. Yeah.
I have to add too, the agents that I did not sign with have also been really instrumental in my journey. So I encourage authors to really think thoughtfully about every single one of those connections and relationships. Is super valuable, even if it's not the person you end up partnering with on a particular book. One agent who passed, she and I had an absolutely brilliant email exchange about the audience, the market, the interest, her perspective on what I was offering, what she'd seen done well. And I still, reflect sometimes on some of her input. Another one who passed just because I really believe her schedule is just super duper packed, but she and I had a lot of resonance around my work. She's actually become an increasingly close friend over the last year and a half. We've done long beach walks together and super heartfelt lunches. And she gifted me a book a few weeks ago that I read cover to cover that weekend, like that she had brought into the world. And she kind of has helped me ground. She also knows all of the players in the publishing world. And so she's just helped me kind of understand how things work. And that was started as a maybe agent relationship. And then similarly, I had an agent that I screened at that around the time when I met Jackie. He wanted to sign my book immediately. And I learned a lot from that moment because I ended up being very curious why he was the one who was the most enthusiastic and digging into his kind of track record and talking with some of his authors, actually, as kind of a reference check and learning that we probably weren't a great match. And I think it's just really important to not be dismissive of any of those paths, even if they are a no.
Hey there, Bookbound friends. If you're loving this interview, we've got something special for you. Our Read Like a Writer book club is back, and we'd love for you to join us. This isn't your typical book club. Each month, we'll gather on Zoom to study one of the books we'll talk about here on the podcast. Not just what we liked, but how it's written and why it works. In other words, we'll help you read like a writer so you can write and publish your own book. It's $179 for 5 monthly sessions. You'll get the book list, related podcast episodes, a simple reading guide, and then meet to discuss. That's it. We're so excited to dive in with you because we love books, we love you, and we really love doing this amazing work with other women like you. Sign up today at bookboundpodcast.com/club. We can't wait to see you there. So, how was the writing of the book?
Well, so I've written 2 books. As you know, one of them will see the world soon. And that's actually worth speaking to both processes because the memoir informs so much of Undimmed.
Yeah.
I luckily love writing. And I love time alone. And I love time in quiet. And I love the ritual around writing. I think we have this ritual in our family of cherries and pits at the beginning of meals. We have the kids go around the table and something good that happened today is something not so great. And I'll use that here because there are definitely highs and lows. It's not at all a big sunshine and rainbows journey. That kind of process part was definitely a cherry for me. Once I found my rhythm, I would easily awaken, pre-dawn. And I just had this ritual. I would make myself a nice cup of coffee. I would light a candle. I would dimly light my space by a window, and it would just be me with my laptop, usually for at least an hour and a half or 2 hours, most days of the week. And that is when I felt the most connected to my intuition, to my higher self. Sometimes it would follow a meditation. Sometimes it wouldn't. It would just follow caffeine, whatever it was. I was just able to kind of tune into those moments. So that part I really loved. And that carried through not only the years of writing the memoir, but also the Undimmed book. There were fits and spurts too. There were times when, I would have a week or 2 and I was writing every single day. And then there were definitely windows when I needed to step away. And sure. I think that's an unspoken to really important part of the process. So much of the writing happens inside. And by the time it's flowing out of your fingertips onto a keyboard, it's been developing, for hours, days, weeks, maybe even months. And so allowing for that space, I think, is equally as important as a discipline, is forcing yourself to sit down and write. And so I found ways to have that. Sometimes 6 weeks at a time, I wouldn't touch a project. As far as the pits go, once the contract is signed with the publisher, you're on a schedule. And I wanted a schedule. I wanted the spreadsheet with the dates and the chapters and the deadlines and the reviews and the expectations. I work well in that type of an environment. It's not for everybody. And even for somebody like me who appreciates a structured schedule, there were times when it was hard and I had to make difficult choices. I either ask for an extension or I miss a day with my kids this weekend. That happened a lot. And so there are personal sacrifices, and it is a very solitary time. I would have my family and Little League happening and the parade that morning or whatever it was, and, kind of be in the mix for an hour and say, hey guys, I'm going to be in the office until 3, and turn off all my notifications and just hunker down and do my work. So that was hard. And then I think, one other just learning that I'll share, it was really important for me to stay super connected to what I was writing about while I was writing it.
Sure.
The journey from idea of a book to it being on a shelf is long. And oftentimes I think we're writing about things or experiences or feelings that we have in a certain time of life. And then it can be difficult to connect with it 2.5 years later when you're actually on deadline for chapter 6. And so I found it super important to stay involved, even when that was sometimes inconvenient. I host these monthly Sangha Saturdays where people in the Clear Life Undimmed community hop on a Zoom and we spend an hour together. It starts with a meditation, then it's a topical discussion about something that's alive in this area. I unexpectedly found that so important to my writing. Like just being with the people who my book is for every month, if not also through Substack and the socials, was like food for me. It was nourishment through the journey. Not only substance-wise, I kind of gained insights as I went that I was able to weave into the book, but also just staying connected to the human element of what I was writing about, and that we're all at different stages on this journey. And even if I'm 8 years in, my readers might be 8 days or 8 months.
Cecily, you've done such a great job of building community. You talk about this community, right? And whether it's through your podcast, your Substack, Instagram, did you always know that you wanted to build a community, or did that happen naturally? How did that come to be?
It's not natural for me, actually. I mean, interestingly, I think the seed of it was learning how impactful the Instagram community was for me early on for myself, and a real inclination to give back there in a weird way. And I'm not even a social media, heady person. I have very light access to social media during my work days, and I'm pretty light touch in it all. But early on in my Clear Life journey, in my first months and then year and then beyond not drinking, I was able to find a handful of voices on Instagram who were speaking to my experience. And then we were able to, through those comments and through those kind of circles created on that platform, find learnings and relatability and comfort in something that wasn't really mainstream yet. It was 2017 when I first took my first 30-day break from drinking. I also initiated the beginning of a divorce on that same day. So I was kind of propelled into 2 massive life changes at the same time. And going into social media to find voices of people who had been through, who were going through what I was going through, was super supportive. And so it was actually in April, I remember this so clearly, April of 2018, I was standing in my kitchen and I realized I've been kind of commenting and engaging with people, but I had my own perspective that kept coming up, and I wanted to bring it in. And there was a thread that I wanted to just pull around presence and the upside and the beauty of choice and the power of change from the inside out and agency, not surrender. And so I started, it was initially Clear Life 108, the 108 nod to my Buddhist orientations. And I didn't have my name attached to it. It was an anonymous IG handle. And when that started growing and I started realizing that I was offering something that was supportive to other people and they could understand. And then I started getting messages like, I read something you wrote 8 months ago and I haven't had a drink for 6 months. And I just want to thank you for XYZ. It was like take the breath out of you. There is nothing like that. And so I couldn't not continue it. It just felt like almost like it was like an invitation, like a duty. And I've had friends around me who've been very successful in this. So I've kind of been able to learn following how they've done this well. But it was just been quite organic, actually. And I'll be honest, I don't love the social part. Now that I have a book launching and there's a big social media piece that is a component of the publicity, I'm really looking for help because I don't really know what I'm doing. I've offered just kind of from my heart, and I've had a lot of good fortune with followership, but it now feels like something that I need to kind of tend to, and I feel like a real baby in that space. So we'll see. Substack is a different story. That feels a little bit more intimate and connected.
Yeah, I could see that. So I'm actually almost surprised to hear that you don't currently have somebody working with you, because I feel like your social media, your Instagram is very active. Yeah. So is that something you're doing that on your own right now?
I am. I have advice from amazing people periodically, and I have definitely, done my best to educate myself on how to keep the good in and the bad out. But it's something I feel it's relatively unattended to. I hear from the community when I do post, particularly video, how much they appreciate it. And I only have so many hours a week I'm putting towards my online presence at the moment. And I put most of my energy into crafting Substacks. I mean, those are quite a bit of time. I think in the next 30 days or so, I'll be getting into a little bit more of a regular schedule, just so I'm dividing my energy and tending to a broader global audience that way, maybe than I'm reaching with Substack. Yeah.
Well, it's very relative because your socials look very well attended to me.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. That's my perfectionist tendencies. That is one of my dimmers that I'm trying to work through.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I never would have thought that you were doing this all on your own, because it seems very robust.
Oh, thank
you. Very rich.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Cecily, I was saying to Bethany earlier that when I was reading through your book, it really reminded me of my experience reading The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. I probably read that book like 30 years ago, and it had such a profound impact on my life and my career. It was actually one of the first books I picked up when I was a first-time manager, because nobody was teaching me how to lead, how to lead a team, how to motivate them. And that was the book that I picked up. And when I was reading your book last night, I had the same feeling. Like I really honestly believe that your book has the potential to have a profound impact on people.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Like truly. And it's I'm just so happy that you wrote it. And I'm really excited to see this journey for you. I think it's going to be amazing this next year.
Thank you so much.
I agree.
So I appreciate that.
We're so excited. Yeah. And the book is so beautiful. It's so well written. It's very rich. A lot of these books, we see a lot of these books, and not when I say these books, I mean prescriptive nonfiction.
Yeah.
And, the framework is often missing, like in a young writer's, first take. But you don't just have a framework, you have so much rich, insightful experience that is going into it. So it's a really good framework, which is hard enough to come by. And it's got that memoir component. So I think that writing your memoir, you didn't write 2 books, you wrote a draft of this book.
I appreciate that.
Was the title from the beginning, or did it change?
The title has had some minor word tweaks, but it's been undimmed from the beginning. And the 8 awarenesses have been the 8 awarenesses. I mean, I think I tell this early on in the book, but it really started with me taking the 12 steps and putting it into a document.
I love that.
Like, how do I make this something that would have worked for my mother and for me?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, Cecily, we're so excited for you and for the world. This is an important book.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate the curiosity and the resonance and the support and the relatability. The book journey is amazing. And I really appreciate that you bring some of the humanity to it with your episodes and your work. It's really not for the faint of heart. And one of the things I'll be doing more in coming weeks and months is sharing a little bit more about my writing journey. And your inquiry has been really helpful in my reflection on that as too. So,
Great. Oh, that's wonderful. So will we see that on Substack, on your Substack?
Yeah, it's not immediate, but definitely between now and probably then.
Oh, that's exciting.
Keep us posted.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. Maybe we coincide it with the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be great.
On that.
Awesome.
Oh, this was so wonderful. Well, thank you again.
Thank you guys.
Best of luck.
Thank you so much. So wonderful to connect with you.
I know, exactly.
Thank you for your work in the world.
Yes.
Onward.
Thank you.
Okay. Take care.
Cecily.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and consider leaving a rating or review to help other writers find us. And don't forget to check out our Read Like a Writer book club and our downloadable Bookbound proposal guide, both designed to support you as you bring your book idea to life. You can also find us on Instagram at bookbound_podcast. Happy writing.